Hi, I'm Bethany Watkins-Lowry, Director of Development with Disciples Church Extension Fund. We're excited today to launch our first ever Give-a-thon via our Facebook page. We've never done anything like this before, going straight to social media, but we think that this story is too good to not share with the full network. During the next 15 hours, we're going to be sharing with you pieces of the larger Real Faith Christian Church story and the historic partnership that developed around this local congregation as all expressions of our church and the Christian Church Disciples of Christ came together at the general, regional, and local level. As the day progresses, we're going to release a new story every hour on the hour. Some will be written media, some will be on video, so you want to be sure to check back and not miss a single piece. But let me tell you a quick overview of the story. In the midst of a major building campaign, disaster struck Real Faith Christian Church. A stream of unfortunate events that were out of the congregation's control and due to no fault of their own brought their building project to a screeching halt. With an abandoned construction site, no pastor, and a community hit much harder than most by the recession, the Real Faith community dwindled from over 200 to less than 50 people in just a few years. The church was hurting from lost hope and lost opportunity. But God was still with them, and a young, passionate pastor from Memphis, Tennessee arrived in 2012. Pastor Zedrick Clayton saw that his new congregation was in need of healing and reconciliation after so many years of disappointment and pain. With Pastor Zedrick's leadership, the small congregation remembered that it was mighty. They turned their eyes away from the unfinished building and walked out into their community to serve the great and profound need that was there. In the 12th chapter of John's Gospel account, Jesus says, "If anyone serves me, they must follow me, and where I am, there my servant will be also." Real Faith Christian Church walked out in faith to serve. They began after-school tutoring and computer skills training programs for neighborhood residents. They started handing out backpacks filled with school supplies to hundreds of children returning to a new school year. Their women's ministries began to thrive, and folks started arriving to worship on Sunday mornings. Finally, the smaller space was no longer enough space to meet the needs of their worshiping community and their neighborhood ministry programs. So in 2013, Disciples Church Extension Fund, in partnership with Disciples Home Missions, began to imagine how the partially constructed building might be finished. Disciples Volunteering began coordinating volunteer efforts to build an adequate space for the ministry. DCEF, DHM, Hope Partnership, and many local congregations sent mission groups to Clarksdale. Disciples Women, Week of Compassion, National Convocation, Reconciliation Ministry, and the Great River region sent grants. On Easter Sunday this year, Real Faith Christian Church finally opened the doors to their building that had been sitting unfinished for 7 years. Real Faith Christian Church has worked hard on their own capital campaign to raise funds for the furniture and parking lot. Although volunteers did the bulk of the work, there were still costs incurred for materials, permits, and specialized labor needed to complete the building properly and safely. Disciples Church Extension Fund celebrates the completion of the building itself, and now we are embarking on our final fundraising campaign to meet the remaining financial obligations for this remarkable building project. The Christian Church Disciples of Christ rolled up our sleeves and were church, being church, as church is meant to be.